Welcome to Mage Wars. I'm Alan Gerding, and today we're going to talk about the most exciting part of Mage Wars, the action stage of the game round. Let's begin. This is where the exciting part of the round takes place. Every active creature in the arena gets to take one action phase to move, attack, or take other actions. Your mage is a creature too, and acts during this stage. This is a really cool part of Mage Wars. This is the action stage, and during the action stage, each players take turns consecutively doing their actions. So when one player does a creature's action, then the other player does a creature's action, and it goes back and forth until all creatures have done their actions. This way, you're both actively engaged the entire time during the game. Here is a typical board setup. The Beastmaster is blue, so he and his creatures all have blue action markers. The Warlock is red, so he and his creatures all have red action markers. The player with the initiative takes the first action phase. During an action phase, you will activate and use one creature that you control. Then your opponent takes an action phase with one of his creatures. So then you take another, and so on and so forth. Continue taking turns back and forth between players until all creatures in the arena have had an action phase. For example, since the Warlock has the initiative, he can activate a creature first. He'll go ahead and activate this Firebrand Imp. He'll flip over the creature's action marker, indicating that it is taking its action phase. This is called activating his creature. He flips over the action marker for that creature and then takes an action with it. This way you never forget which creature has acted and which ones haven't. After a creature is finished acting, it becomes inactive. Anytime it is your turn to act, if you have fewer active creatures than your opponent, you can choose to not act and skip taking an action phase. Here the Beastmaster only has 2 active creatures, while the Warlock has 3. The Beastmaster decides he wants to skip his action phase and wait to see what the Warlock does. Therefore, it's now the Warlock's turn to act again with another creature. There are several options for any creature during its action phase. We'll cover each one briefly right now. The first thing you need to know is that there are 2 main types of actions your creatures can take: quick actions and full actions. In a creature's action phase, it can either take a move action first and then take a quick action, or it can take a full action, which means it does not move. If you choose to do a quick action, you can move beforehand. You don't have to move beforehand, but if you are going to move that creature, it must be before it uses its quick action. Or you don't have to move at all. You can just stand there, and sometimes this is an option that you may want to do so you can see what the other opponent mage may do, or it may be a penalty because your creature is stunned. For example, it is my turn to act with a creature. I choose to activate my Timberwolf. One type of quick action is a quick attack. My wolf has an attack printed on its card with a quick action symbol. So I decide I want to make its bite attack. Thus I have to decide to take a move action followed by a quick action. First, I can move my wolf one zone as a move action into an adjacent zone. And then as its quick action, I can attack an enemy here with a bite. Remember, moving is always to an adjacent zone horizontally or vertically, but never diagonally. Also remember that you don't have to move. The move action is voluntary. I can just stay in my zone and make his quick attack. And if you do choose to move, you must always move first. You can't take a quick action and then move afterwards. Never. What else can you do as a quick action? You can choose to take another move action. In this way, creatures can move 2 zones per game round. This is just like any other move action and is subject to the same rules. A creature can also guard as a quick action. When it does this, place a guard marker on it. So if I wanted to guard, I could first move 1 zone and then guard, or stay in my zone, skipping the move action, and then guard. We'll discuss guarding in detail in a separate video. Your creature may also cast a quick spell if the creature is a mage or a familiar, and the spell has the quick action icon. For example, my mage here wants to cast Minor Heal on himself, which is a quick spell. I can move first and then cast Minor Heal, or I can stay where I am and cast it. Some creatures called familiars can cast spells just like the mage. Some creatures have a special action they can take, and you'll see this in the same area as the attack bar, and it will look like this. Notice it has a quick action icon by it. So in summary, there are a whole bunch of different types of quick actions. Don't worry though, they're easily identifiable by that quick action icon. But there's more than just quick actions. There's also full actions. Full actions are different than quick actions because, by definition, they take more time. For instance, you can have a full action attack. And the full action attacks are, of course, more powerful than the quick action attacks. They'll take more time for that more powerful swing or blow or whatever it is. It's the same thing with the spell cards. Some spells require a full action, meaning it takes more concentration and it will take the entire action phase to do. For example, my Steel Claw Grizzly here has a choice of two different attacks, one with a quick action icon and one with a full action icon. Notice the full action attack does more damage. If I want to make a full action attack with my Grizzly, I activate it, flip its action marker, and then attack an enemy in my zone. Note, I can't move first because this is a full action. This is true with all full actions. You can't combine a full action with a move. They take more time. So my target will need to be in the same zone as my Steel Claw Grizzly. Or perhaps my mage or other spellcasting creature wants to cast a full action spell. Most creature spells are full actions. For example, to cast this Bitterwood Fox spell, which is a full action, I would use a full action. That means I cannot move first. Some creatures even have a special action they can perform that requires a full action. For example, my Siren Cleric here has a special full action he can use to take, which allows him to heal another creature. It has the full action symbol. In summary, full actions are just like quick actions. The difference is it will cost you your move to do a full action. So make sure if you're going to use a full action, your creature is in the zone in which you want it before you use your full action. The most common full actions are full action attacks and full action spells. Now, when we talk about move actions, it's important to remember that creatures can only move one zone, and they follow the same rules as we follow when we're counting ranges. That means that they can move to an adjacent zone to their left, right, above them, or below them, but never diagonally. Now, there are a few circumstances where a creature's movement would be hindered, where a creature would not be able to move in a specific zone, or move twice. The first circumstance to look at is when your creature is moving into or out of a zone with an enemy creature. If your creature begins its action phase in a zone with an enemy creature or enters a zone occupied by any enemy creatures, it is hindered. A hindered creature may only move one zone during its action phase, even if it has the fast trait. That means if this Bitterwood Fox wants to move into the zone with the Firebrand Imp, it will not be able to take another move action. It has become hindered by the enemy creature. Same goes if they start in the same zone. The Bitterwood Fox wants to run away, and it can run just one zone away, but it cannot take two move actions. This is to symbolize the difficulty it took for the Bitterwood Fox to leave its attacker behind, hence a type of disengaging from the enemy. Some creatures may have a trait or ability which allows them to ignore other creatures that hinder movement. For example, a creature with a flying trait ignores non-flying creatures when moving, and vice versa. A creature with the elusive trait may always ignore enemy creatures when moving. If an enemy creature is incapacitated or restrained, or if it has the pest trait, it cannot hinder other creatures. You can find out more details about which traits affect movement in the Codex section of the rulebook. So let's look back at an example we had earlier, and we're going to go through a couple of action phases. So remember the Warlock had flipped over his Firebrand Imp's action marker, right? So let's go ahead and resolve his action phase. The Firebrand Imp is going to take a move action and move one zone and then attack this Bitterwood Fox. Now, there are several steps to attacking a creature, and like I said, we'll go into those in another video. But for now, let's just roll the dice and do the damage. Our Firebrand Imp did 2 critical damage here, and that's enough to kill this Bitterwood Fox. So we'll remove the Bitterwood Fox from the arena. It's destroyed, and it can't be used again this game. So that is the end of the Firebrand Imp's action phase. But that's not the end yet. It's not the end of the round because there's still creatures who haven't acted. So let's see what the Beastmaster is going to do. The Beastmaster decides to activate his remaining Bitterwood Fox and get him into the fray. So he flips over his action marker and then moves him one zone to the left. However, this Bitterwood Fox is still too far away to do anything. he decides to take another move action for the Bitterwood Fox. He moves the fox again, and that ends the fox's action phase. See how easy that is? You activate your creature by flipping over its action marker, then you take its action, then the creature's action is done. It's now the other player's turn to take an action with their creature. You just go back and forth until all the action markers are flipped over. It's that easy. Well, that's it for now. Join us next time when we talk about the quick cast action. I'm Alan Gerding, and I'll see you in the arena.